People tell us every week that our information has helped save their life. If you agree that this is helpful information, please like, share, and most of all, subscribe, because nothing makes a channel like subscriptions.
So, marijuana and heart disease. Why did we cover this today, Jesus?
Just mentioning those blockbuster articles that get published on the mainstream media, and we got that as a new topic, and it's a brand new study, and it's an interesting one because many people talk about marijuana for other purposes and other reasons and other complications, but its relationship with heart disease, it's something that you don't see very often. It's interesting because this one was not published on a journal yet. This was presented as an abstract on a conference by a resident physician. So they saw that, it grabbed the attention, and they got into the new press release of the American College of Cardiologists, and then it got into the news.
You know, I think I was the one that saw and suggested the article, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And part of the issue is, I first learned this years ago when I attended a Bale Dunedin. I had not seen that. And like you said, you rarely see anything about this. And this is actually one of the better studies in terms of helping point that out. So many of the other studies are just, like we talked a few minutes ago, not that clear. Problems with participation bias and stuff like that. CBD oil and marijuana both are huge resurgences just over the past couple of years. And, if you're one of those folks that's using a lot, or if you know folks that are, and I've got family members that are big fans specifically of marijuana itself. This is not just one of those simple fishing expeditions that's very likely to be contaminated with the participation bias. They use Mendelian randomization, and we're not going to get into that discussion on what Mendelian randomization is. It will sort of turn your head inside out trying to understand the concepts, but it's a very robust process. Bottom line, don't get into frequent marijuana use. I think there's already enough evidence to say it is not good in terms of cardiovascular disease. And I know Jesus is going to get a lot of haters for putting that information up there. I'm just going to let him take his licks on that one.
And that I can tell you, I plenty, just like you mentioned, I have plenty of friends and people that I know that are consumers, and they even vape. Terrible as well. They say, well, it's not cigarette, I'm vaping, same thing. I'm just using marijuana once in a while. Okay, that's your choice, and that's okay. But the evidence, it's out there, and just as you mentioned, this is a really different perspective article just because they're using Mendelian randomization. They did look for causation. And one thing that I didn't know, I gotta be honest, this was the mechanism. How marijuana is causing heart disease, inflammation and plaques. That's it. And that's the bottom line.
Mention that.
Yeah, and it affects the nervous system, and that's why you see those cognitive changes, but it also affects vessels and glycocalysis. That's the result of it.
I think I mentioned it when we were talking about it. I covered this 5 years ago on the channel. It didn't get a lot of airtime. But at that point in time, the concept was that one marijuana cigarette carried about as much damage as a whole pack or two of regular cigarettes. So it's a big deal.